Welcome to Euractiv's Tweets of the Week. Outrage over Strasbourg attack, democracy in Hungary continues to crack, and Theresa May avoids the sack. This week we are supported by the European Centre of Employers and Enterprises providing public services. More about them at the end. On Tuesday night, a lone gunman carried out a horrific attack on the streets of Strasbourg. 3 people were killed and several others injured. As members of the public took refuge in restaurants and in hotels, dozens of MEPs, including Claude Moraes, reported that MEPs and Parliament staffers were safely locked inside the European Parliament. They remained there until after 2 a.m. as there was not enough security to escort everyone home safely. Speaking on Wednesday, Manfred Weber said the terrible events remind us of our peaceful values to defend freedom and democracy. The plenary also held a 1-minute silence and flags flew at half-mast before MEPs got back to work. As we record, the gunman, named by police as Sheriff Shekat, is still on the run. In Hungary, Prime Minister Viktor Orbán gave himself full control over the country's formerly independent judiciary. Kasmuda said this move leaves no doubt Hungary has transformed into an authoritarian regime, but the democracy didn't die in darkness, it shamefully died in the EU spotlight. Guy Verhofstadt called the reforms outrageous and said enough was enough. Orbán also passed a so-called slave law, raising the limit for overtime and causing uproar and these scenes of protest inside the parliament.
Mit üzen a választóknak Orbán úr? Maga szerint rendben van ez így? Törvényesen bonyolítják le a rabszolgatörvény átnyomását a magyar parlamentben?
And these ones outside it. The European Parliament also called on the European Council to activate Article 7 against Hungary for a clear breach of EU values. Viviane Reding MEP said she voted in favour of the resolution because rule of law must be the rule, not the exception, and MEP Roberta Metsola added, "Our values are not up for negotiation, not now, not ever."
It is corruption in Malta by the socialist government, the watering down of the rule of law in Romania, institutions under pressure in Poland, or what is happening in Hungary. This is what we stand for. Our values have stood the test of time and they are not up for negotiation.
Finally, Theresa May had quite the week. First, she did a mini tour of Europe, calling in on Mark Rutte in the Netherlands, Angela Merkel in Berlin, Leo Varadkar in Dublin, and anyone who would see her in Brussels, before facing a no-confidence vote back home. Not a good look. But even her visits didn't go as planned. The Prime Minister's exit strategy failed again in Berlin, and as Alan White can confirm, Theresa May getting locked in her car is much funnier when you put the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme over it. Though she survived the vote, James Crisp couldn't help but wonder if it would just be easier for the country to be ruled by unelected bureaucrats. But May wasn't deterred. Burly Monster thought her response went something like this before she headed back to Brussels for this week's Brexit Council. There's one every week now, right? The European Parliament, meanwhile, issued its new Brexit position, reminding leaders that renegotiating the backstop is not possible. So Rupert Myers produced this handy flowchart showing where we are now and where we're likely to be in the coming days. Even Silvio Berlusconi says that every night he lights a candle in the hope that the UK holds a new referendum and remains in the EU. Yep, Silvio, prayers are about all we've got left in this shambles. As Bruno Waterfield reported one EU diplomat saying, "We know that no matter what we do, it will have no impact on votes which depend on divisions in the Conservatives or British society." Happy Christmas. This week we are supported by the European Centre of Employers and Enterprises providing public services, who this week awarded 16 enterprises for their corporate social responsibility and commitments in investment, digitalisation and integration. That's it for this week. Join me again next Friday for the last good, bad and ugly in the Brussels bubble Twitter sphere for 2018.